Those laws contained very strong attacks on the organization while he was still working for the organization, and he had the right to put in editorials. He put in editorials that contained very strong attacks on the organization. So the idea that he's censored is absurd. With respect to the neo-humanist statement, I believe, I forget what the words that Ms. Van Pelt used, make a vicious attack. I actually, if you look at the blog, and it's still in existence, I said there were many things in the neo-humanist statement which I found to be of value. But the two things I took issue with were Paul's attack on atheism, which I thought was not warranted, and then his discussion of this kind of planetary federation, which I thought simply was impractical. So it was not a vicious attack on Paul, and as Ms. Van Pelt did point out, I included a link to the neo-humanist statement, and in fact, if you look at my blog, what I said was, please look at the neo-humanist statement and make your own judgment about it. So the idea that somehow Dr. Kurtz was censored was absurd. I'll leave it up to the chair of our proceedings here, but I think we should maintain the order of questioners, and I don't think Dr. Kurtz was the next in line. I think it was someone else.
Well, I went for all he was saying. Excuse me for one moment, and I apologize that this is brought to your attention. This has been the most difficult 2 years of my life and the life of my family. But in any case, I did explain why I resigned, and I submitted it to free inquiry where I was editor-in-chief, and you refused to publish it in free inquiry. And that's the first time in my life that I've been censored, the first time by this organization that I published, that I created, and now is flourishing and needs support from all of you. And I think maybe it's healthy that this is being discussed. I mean, why not discuss it? Many people here have asked me dozens and dozens and dozens, what happened? Why did you listen? But you refuse to publish my explanation.
And Paul, I'm very happy to see that you had this opportunity to raise these issues. We're going to let you have the last word on this topic, and I'd like now to get back to other questioners. Sir, you've been talking about like 6 months. You've been extremely patient. I will ask our panel to rejoin us, and this was something that had to come out and had to be discussed. Let's move back to the rest of the business of our conference. Sir, you have the floor.
I've been up here a couple of times, so you know who I am. For my grandchildren, our descendants, to live in a sane world, secular humanism and similar organizations has to become a world phenomenon. It has to become a world organization. I know the word international is up on our building there, I think, and I know the last page of Free Inquiry has these worldwide super professors and known people, but, and I, in some sort of a question form, I would like one of you or some of you to fill in after this but. I will end with 2 suggestions. I spend a good portion of my time in Europe, in Latvia, to be specific. Latvia has still, like in the Middle Ages, it has a theology department at the university. But I have succeeded to put in there Free Inquiry, Skeptic magazine, and the American Rationalist. So one suggestion is, I think many of us travel and we're associated with universities and institutions all over the world, so we can do the same thing. Second, even though Canada is represented and my guru from England spoke not too long ago. I think it would be a good idea for this to become more of a kind of a world movement, to have at the mic up there somebody from Scandinavia, maybe even the Soviet Union, somewhere from, Europe, other than, I get a feeling this is United States kind of an organization and movement.
Actually, if I could respond to that very briefly, different conferences have different focuses. Our previous Center for Inquiry conference in Bethesda, Maryland, had an extensive international presence and one whole session devoted to international humanism. We happen not to program that now. But then, that on the one hand is definitely something that we need to pay attention to and are paying attention to. On the other hand, we are always in need of individual initiatives, and if you have academic or business contacts overseas, if you're traveling, if you can help to get our word out, that is the greatest contribution that you can make to our movement, and we thank you very much for it.
Any other comments?
Thanks very much.
My name is Jerry Stearns. I'm from Montana, and mine is a much more pedestrian question. I think that marketing isn't just a matter of getting our word out, but from keeping their word under some control. And where I live, every waiting room from the auto mechanic to the hospital cafeteria shows Fox News. You have no option. And I have written letters complaining, but they are ineffective, and I would like suggestions of how we can stop Fox News from brainwashing a captive audience.
John, no pressure, but we're all looking at you.
We're just going to solve Fox News here today. It's a pedestrian question, though. I was impressed. I think it's an understandable and important objection. They are a propaganda machine. I believe, and this is a little bit outside the purview of Secular Coalition for America, but I'm just making the observation that I think all the contenders for the Republican nomination, but for Mitt Romney, are actually paid employees of Fox News. So it is an interesting cultural phenomenon. I'm not saying that we have the power to change that. What I would say is that we have it within our power to organize at the grassroots level, because I have deep admiration for the Christian right. I really admire them greatly. In 1970, they looked at this country and they decided they did not like what they saw. So they organized in every single state. They didn't have the megachurches at the same level that they do now. They went out and they were entrepreneurs. And that's what we need to do in this movement. And that's what the Secular Coalition for America is about. We're lobbying in D.C. and building coalition around the United States. And we're going to have 50-state coalitions before this decade is out and build a grassroots movement that markets ourselves. I don't know that we can change Fox News, but we have to build things from the grassroots up. We haven't done it before. We are going to do that now. Thank you.
One thing I can add about this is how many here are fans of The Daily Show? Yeah. Now, if you're fans of The Daily Show, you know The Daily Show does what the normal media doesn't do. They actually will show clips together showing the contradictions and hypocrisy and actually show visually the actual outright lies that Fox News disseminates and gets behind their narrative and shows how they're manipulating the public. Anybody who watches Daily Show would lose all respect for the authority of Fox News and would not trust them anymore. So really the problem is people aren't watching The Daily Show. What I would like to see, and hopefully I'll get to talk about other things I'd like to see in the secular movement, is why can't we have a comedy news channel? So you have Daily Show 24/7, but you have teams of writers covering all the news and international news, all of politics, watching C-SPAN. Boy, you've got tons of material every day off of C-SPAN of the things that these guys are saying up in Congress. You can have lots of different interesting, funny talk shows that just expose the lies and do it in a fun, entertaining way that actually draws people in to watch. And The Daily Show is very successful at getting lots of viewers because it's a very interesting show. If you want to get more, you need to create a sort of phenomenon where it's not just The Daily Show, but a whole news channel. Then that news channel itself becomes news, and even Fox News won't be able to ignore it. And you'll have Fox News talking about this comedy news channel. People start to think, oh, what on earth is going on this channel? They'll start watching it. Then all they're going to see is like about half an hour of it to see the exposure of the lies on Fox News, and it's going to lead them to doubt. And it won't convince everybody, but it's going to grow the number of people who will be inoculated against the propaganda machine of Fox News. So if anybody here is like a billionaire and can start their own major news network, that's my advice.
You don't need a billionaire to start a new network.